Belgium to Congo, turned it to hell. Rubber and ivory children fell. Britain snatched Nile, France took the West. Germany grabbed land like it passed the test. No language in common, just rule and divide. Fed us their flags, made us swallow our pride. They taught us to hate what we
Somebody has their
saw
set
in the
on.
mirror. Now we pray to their gods just to feel clearer. Hey, we weren't even there. Split the bloodline. Names not our own. Borders like chains. Still today, we carry the pain. Who gave them the right? Response ain't body. Who let them rewrite? Not our bodies cold. Who drew the line? Through our soul. Colonial goals. What they stole, we'll reclaim whole. We are the story they try to control. But memory's a drum and truth don't sleep. Our roots run deep where their cuts ran steep. Now we rise with fire in our name, burning their maps, reclaiming our flame. Burning their maps, reclaiming our flame. You carved us up. We rise again. One Africa. Yeah.
Feels like such an incomplete ending, but okay, go on. You're muted.
Where is that music coming from? It's like somebody's playing it somewhere else.
Maybe Nelson Mandela is present there with you playing it. I don't know.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
Yeah,
you're
tell me
muted.
about it. Greetings, 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 everybody. Welcome to another Akebulan Awakening series. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. You can't hear us. That's a problem. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I think let
Oladele
me
is
go out and
probably-
come back in.
Yeah.
Nduku,
Can
take
you-
over.
Hello everyone, habari gani, karibuni, asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. What's the news? Habari gani, karibuni, welcome. Babajide, say something so that we're sure that your audio is right as well. You're muted right now. You're muted, which means you can't hear me if you're still muted and I'm saying you. Oh, now you can hear me. You're muted. Let me see whether it's us who muted you. Go on, say something.
The host. Yeah, the host.
Yeah, the host
Okay,
muted you. Yeah, go on. Mhm.
Yeah. Welcome everybody.
So-
Good to see you this evening. I hope you're having a good time, whatever part of the world you're watching from. Good to be here.
A lot is happening around the world. I know our African brothers and sisters are in front of their TVs watching soccer, as much as soccer is not liberating us, but that's okay. I understand we need those moments of reprieve, those moments of releasing the pressure valve, and that's what that does to us. So I embrace that in the spirit of releasing tension. Welcome back, Oladele.
Yeah, breads and circuses.
But listen, sometimes you need breads and circuses to keep it pushing.
Fair enough. Okay, guys, welcome to another Akebulan Awakening series in collaboration with Kumbukeni. As always, my name is Oladele Dosunmu. I'm the founder of the Emerging Akebulan, and you guys know exactly what we do on this platform. We're about awakening our consciousness and liberating our minds for us to start thinking critically as Africans. We need to stop thinking like the Muzungu because we're being miseducated to think like the white man. So we need to start thinking like Africans, and that's basically what we're here about, guys. Sounds controversial, but that's what we do. Okay, guys. Today's topic. I'm sure you've seen it. So let's bring it up.
We actually did not introduce ourselves. We were just chit-chatting.
Oh, sorry. I do apologize, guys. Introduce yourselves, guys.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
carry on.
okay. Most people do know who we are. The name is Nduku. I'm the host on Kumbukeni, joining my brother in collaborating in these series. Yeah, whatever the English people say, the plural is. That is what I'm referring to, where we tell our narratives from our own perspective, centering Africa as we view the rest of the whole world, including our world, our history, our present, and our future. Yeah, I'm looking forward to today's conversation, and there's nothing controversial. The controversy comes in if you're viewing it from the white man's lens, as is very, very relevant to our topic today. There's nothing controversial for an African to fight for their liberation and do everything that supports that. So we as Africans need to embrace it. This is the normal thing a person should do when they are oppressed. All right.
Yes.
Babajide.
Yes, thank you. It's nice to be here once again, guys. Thank you for inviting me onto your podcast series. It's always a pleasure to be here because we always ground the talk, we always ground the conversation, we are always real about the conversation. I mean, this is about taking Africa forward. This is about decolonizing a lot of the processes, decolonizing a lot of our thinking, so yes, it's always good to be here, and I think the momentum is building, and it's good to be part of that momentum. Thanks, guys. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much. Okay, today's topic. Yeah, go on.
Oladele. For those of you who can't hear us, try restarting, because I see some can. Try restarting and coming back in. Yes, and then if it continues, we'll see whether it's on our end. But I do see some people can hear us. Go on, Oladele, Paula.
Okay, today's topic, guys. I'm gonna put it on the screen. The topic is, why do we need the white man? Okay, I framed that because it's patriarchal as well, because it basically controls the whole system. So why do we hear that we're the man? So basically, the woman has no input into this. The people that put themselves in a position of power and authority, who I'm referring to. So why do we as Africans we need the white man? We Africans existed before the white man. We had our ways. We did our things. We had history before they came. And we existed without them. Urugu. We existed before them, without them. So all of a sudden, they became the standard that we follow. So this is the kind of conversation that we have all the time, which I have conversations, I have chats with different people. And something that still bugs me in 2026 is the fact that we Africans still think that we can't do without the white man. The white man are just recent. We've existed way, way before they did. We had our civilization before it got co-opted. So what makes us think that in 2026 as Africans, we still need those people? Anyway, we're going to dive in more, but let's bring Babajide in. He's going to go first. Babajide, we'll let you go first, and then we'll come back in.
Yes. So thanks, Oladele. Yeah. So as Oladele has just introduced the topic, why do we need the white man? I've just put something down here that would help us, hopefully, start that conversation, this evening. So the title makes it, like we said, it sounds quite provocative, right? But it's a question many Africans have asked quietly for generations. Okay, why do we still feel the need? Why do we still feel we need the white man to validate, approve, fund, certify, manage, structure, or lead what we're already capable of doing ourselves? Why? Why is it that a Nigerian engineer, a Ghanaian economist, Kenyan technologist, South African scientist, Senegalese banker, or Malian historian can be world-class abroad, but still has to prove themselves twice at home, or anywhere in the world for that matter? Why is it that when a major project comes up in Africa, for example, the first question is often not who amongst us can do this, but which foreign partner is attached? This episode is not about hatred. It's not about blaming ordinary white people for everything. It's about power, history, psychology, economics, and the long shadow of colonialism. Because before Africa's resources were extracted, something even deeper was attacked: the African mind. So I think this should set, the templates for our discussion this evening. In our earlier conversations, we talked about the decolonization of the mind. This was the first part of the African makeup that was attacked. Before land was taken, before minerals were mined, before borders were redrawn, the mind had to be captured. Colonialism did not only come with soldiers, flags, administrators, and companies. It came with a message. You're not enough. Language is not enough. Your religion is not enough. Your systems are not enough. Your knowledge is not enough. Your leaders are not enough. Your beauty is not enough. Your institutions are not enough. Your civilization is not enough. And once a people begin to believe that about themselves, domination becomes easier. Because at that point, the colonizer does not always need to stand over you. You begin to carry him inside your own head. And that's how we find ourselves where we are today. That is why even after independence, many African countries still struggle. And African people, not just countries now, even going into the Caribbean, going into many areas where we have I don't like using the term black, but I'll say African people. But you see, this is a problem. Some black people across the world don't like to be identified as African. I mean, can you even think about that? Can you imagine that? You're having a conversation with someone and you say, "Oh, you're brother, you're African." I say, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm Jamaican, or I'm Haitian, or no, you're not. You're African. You're African first. As long as you're black, you're African first." And these are some of the problems that we have as a people. So we have flags, anthems, passports, parliaments, universities, and presidents, but many of our decisions still seek foreign approval. Even in America till today, Black Americans, FBAs, they call themselves, there's still always that approval from that, albeit it's local, it's still a white entity. There's no problem with that. But you have to also realize that these are things that we could do ourselves. These are things that we could do within the community. It doesn't just have to be, the guys in, the money makers or the funders, if I can call that, or the funds, in Silicon Valley or New York or Wall Street or whatever. No, you can do these things within your own community as well, and grow that community, because nobody else can do it better. I mean, just to touch on, we all know about Black Wall Street, that was burnt down many years ago. I mean, that was a black effort. That showed community. That showed that, yes, we could build hospitals, we could run them, we could build stores, we could run them, we could do everything, but in the end, some people felt, we couldn't leave these guys to just prosper in that way, and they felt the need to burn it down. So a local expert says something and we doubt it. A foreign consultant says the same thing and suddenly it becomes credible. And this is where we sort of find ourselves as a people, in 2026, where African countries continually seek the approval of i.e. the IMF, the World Bank, without even doing any homework at all. They don't do any homework. All they do is do the economic the Adam Smith, what I call the Adam Smith economic analysis. Yeah, they haven't done their own analysis based on their economic makeup, based on their spiritual makeup, based on their cultural makeup. But by default, they've deferred to Western economics that was designed and developed when slavery was in full swing. So these are the things that I think we need to we need to address, and hopefully we'll touch on some of these issues as we go along today. So another example, a Nigerian company proposes a solution and people ask, oh, have they done it abroad? I mean, what does that mean? That happens. I mean, a friend of mine, a Zimbabwean friend of mine, many years ago, went back to Zimbabwe. He worked in the healthcare sector. I mean, and he decided, oh, I'm going to go back and see, what I can do. On getting to Zimbabwe, it's like, oh, why don't you go and bring the NHS? Why don't you go and bring, the Western consultants to come and do it? I say, but I can do the same thing. The guys you want me to go and bring would do. So it was at that moment that it dawned on me that it seems like this Muzungu or Igbo thing, it's actually an African-wide problem, Yeah, the mindset thing. It's an African-wide problem, So the question anyway becomes, are we short of talent or are we short of self-belief? Do we believe enough in ourselves to be able to push this forward? Now, the second reason we keep needing the white man is because many of the structures left behind were designed to keep looking outward. Colonialism did not simply end because flags changed. Many of the systems remained. The trade routes remained outward facing. The legal systems remained inherited. We're still in Nigeria, for example, we're still wearing the wigs. Burkina Faso's banned them in the last couple of years. I felt that was a very good thing. The education systems remained externally validated. The financial systems remained dependent. The borders remained artificial. The currencies, in some cases, remained tied to former colonial powers, as we can see with the CFA. The institutions of power were copied, not always rebuilt for local realities. The CFC, I've mentioned the CFA franc zone. Look at the trade patterns. Look at how African economies export raw materials outward and import finished goods back at higher prices. There's this mantra that is quite popular in Nigeria. Production, production, production. That's what Nigeria needs to do. Production, production, production. But hang on a minute. What if the people you're producing for, that you're hoping to get foreign exchange from, don't want your produce? What do you do then? And that's exactly what happened when Trump came to power. And all of a sudden, the AGOA initiative that America runs was truncated across Africa. So people that were depending on making money from AGOA, all of a sudden were left in the lurch. So these are the reasons why we first need to look inwards, not just, like I said, as an African, not just as a continent, but as a people. Now, I'm gonna flip to America quickly just now. Nduku, I'm sure you're aware of this backlash against South Asian businesses by the FBA community, or the Black community in America, because of the verdict of I think Mr. Chow that shot this black guy dead. And some Asian guy came up and said, "Oh yeah, you black guys, you let me see you, boycott, Asian shops, where you're gonna go get your hair stuff from, where you're gonna get all your food from, etc., etc." And all of a sudden, the black community is saying, "Hang on a minute, yeah, we are gonna boycott that community because we have what it takes." Now, my question is, why did it have to get to this point? Why did it have to get to this point before, you realize that you've got to do the right thing? So, yeah. Today, many African economies are structured like supply zones, not sovereign production centers. We export cocoa, import chocolate, export crude oil, import refined fuel. We export lithium, cobalt, gold, and so on, then import the finished technologies built from them. We export talent, then complain about brain drain. So when people ask, why do we need the white man? Part of the answer is this: because the system was built so that the center of gravity remains outside Africa. The challenge is not just to change faces in government. The challenge is to redesign the architecture. Another major driver is that Africa was deliberately cut off from itself. The Berlin Conference of 1884 and the colonial partition of Africa did not just divide land, it divided people, cultures, trade routes, families, languages, and economic systems. Borders were drawn without respect for existing nations, ethnic groups, kingdoms, or commercial networks. African societies that had traded and interacted for centuries were suddenly forced into colonial boxes. And even after independence, many African countries continued to trade more easily with Europe than with each other. That is one of the greatest tragedies. It is often easier for an African country to export to Europe than to export to a neighboring African country. Easier to fly to London or Paris than to travel between some African capitals. Easier to price goods in dollars or euros than in a shared African framework of value. Intra-African trade remains far too low compared to the potential of the continent. So when we say, why do we need the white man? We also have to ask, why were we trained not to need each other? Why does a Nigerian business person look first to Dubai, London, or New York before looking to Accra, Kigali, Nairobi, Johannesburg, Abidjan, or Dakar? Why do African governments compete for foreign approval but struggle to coordinate with neighboring countries? Why do we attend global summits to be lectured about development when the continent itself is a market of over a billion people? The answer is painful. Africa was disconnected from itself, then taught to look outward for survival. The work now is reconnection. There is also an internal wound we must talk about. Colonialism created a hierarchy of value. At the top was Europe, at the bottom was Africa. And that hierarchy did not disappear overnight. It entered our schools, it entered our churches, it entered our courts, it entered our boardrooms, it entered our accents, it entered our skin lightening products, it entered our hiring decisions, it entered our politics, it entered our sense of beauty, intelligence, professionalism, and competence. So now foreign validation often becomes a kind of currency. A product is better if it's imported. A consultant is better if he's foreign. A degree is better if it's from abroad. A business is more serious if it has a Western partner. A policy is more credible if it has foreign backing. A report is more respected if it comes from an international institution. This is how the wound reproduces itself. It is not always imposed from outside anymore. Sometimes we impose it on ourselves. That is why a Nigerian professional may be celebrated in London, New York, Toronto, or Dubai, but ignored in Lagos until a foreign institution endorses him. That is why local companies may be forced to partner with Oyinbo before government officials take them seriously. That is why a first-class African graduate can return home with skill, vision, and ambition, only to be told that the contact needs a foreign face before it can move forward. And that is why the question is not just political or economic, it's psychological. We have to ask, who taught us to doubt ourselves? And more importantly, why are we still obeying that voice? Then there's the question of aid. Aid is often presented as generosity, as charity, as help, as partnership. But we have to be honest enough to ask, what has aid actually produced? Has it created independence or dependence? Has it built local capacity or replaced it? Has it empowered African institutions or made them accountable upward to donors instead, or downward to citizens? Has it solved problems or managed them just enough to keep the system going? The danger with aid is that it can make underdevelopment look like a humanitarian project. It can soften the image of extraction. It can turn structural injustice into charity. It can make dependency appear normal. It can allow those who benefited from historical exploitation to return as saviors. And this is where the optics become powerful. A country can extract wealth through trade imbalance, debt, resource control, and unfair financial systems, then return a tiny fraction as aid and be praised for generosity. That is not justice. That is managed underdevelopment with better branding. Real partnerships should build capacity, Real partnership should transfer knowledge. Real partnership should respect sovereignty. Real partnership should not make Africa permanently dependent on external rescue, but no nation develops by outsourcing its future. Perhaps the most tragic part is that we forgot what we built. Africa is not a continent without history, like Oladele mentioned. It is a continent whose history was interrupted, distorted, and often deliberately erased. Before colonialism, Africa had kingdoms, empires, universities, trade networks, architecture, scholarship, law, mathematics, astronomy, you name it. Timbuktu was a center of learning. The universities and scholarly traditions of Mali attracted thinkers and students. Great Zimbabwe stands as evidence of advanced architecture, trade, and statecraft. Kemet gave the world knowledge systems that influenced civilization far beyond Africa, across the continent. African societies built systems of governance, commerce, culture, and knowledge. But colonial education often taught Africans to see themselves as people who were discovered, civilized, and rescued. That is one of the greatest lies ever told, because a people who forgot what they built will believe they can only build with permission. A people who forgot their own intellectual tradition will wait for outsiders to think for them. A people who forgot their own systems will assume imported systems are automatically superior. So part of rebuilding Africa is not just building roads, banks, data centers, universities, and industries. It's rebuilding memory, because memory is infrastructure. A people who remember correctly stand differently. When we bring this conversation into Nigeria, it becomes very real, or Kenya for that matter, or South Africa. After independence, Nigeria produced brilliant people. Regional governments invested in education. Students received scholarships. Many went abroad, trained in top institutions, and returned home expecting to build a new nation. But after the political crisis and the 1966 military intervention, that dream was disrupted. Many highly trained Nigerians who returned in the 60s and 70s found themselves sidelined in their own country. Instead of being trusted, they were told to prove themselves through foreign validation. Civil engineers, economists, technologists, architects, bankers, and professionals who were fully qualified found themselves begging for opportunities that should have been available to them. Some prepared strong proposals for government work only to be told, go and bring a white man or partner with a foreign company. Not because the Nigerian lacked competence, not because the proposal lacked value, but because the system had been trained to trust foreigners more than itself. And this did not disappear in the 1970s. It continued through the 90s and the 2000s and still appears today. The result is that we keep weakening our own institutions while pretending to develop. We underfund local capacity. We undervalue local talent. We outsource strategic national functions. We give the biggest contracts to outsiders. Then we tell ordinary citizens to start small businesses and build the economy from the bottom. But how can people build confidence when the state itself does not trust them? The issue also appears in finance and technology. I'll be wrapping up shortly. Many Nigerians grew up hearing that Nigerians are smart. And they are. Nigerians excel all over the world in banking, medicine, law, engineering, technology, academia, business, and public life. And remember, I'm using Nigeria as a case study. We're all Africans. We have brilliant Africans across the continent, from Uganda to Kenya to South Africa. I mean, Vusi Tembakwayo is one of them. There are numerous names that I can list. Yeah, but just to nail down the case study, I just chose Nigeria to discuss this. So, but if we're so smart, why do we keep outsourcing some of the most strategic responsibilities of the nation? Why should foreign institutions manage what should be national capacity? Only the other day, MasterCard was in the same room with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu discussing providing funds for the youth in Nigeria. I mean, I find that absurd. I'm sorry. I'm sure they're going to be watching this, but yes, I find it absurd. If anything, I or someone from Flutterwave or Paystack should be the ones sitting in that room, not MasterCard. Same thing with the Ministry of Finance. You have IMF sitting in the room. How? What's going on?
Yeah, Babajide, sorry, I saw that the other day, and that really, really infuriated me. In the planning budget planning office, you have an
Yes,
IMF man sitting down
yes,
there in our
yes,
business. Carry
yes,
on, sorry.
yes. So why should tax digitization, financial systems, data systems, and public infrastructure be handed outward when Nigeria has capable local talent and serious technology companies? We now have companies like Paystack, Flutterwave, Remita, and many others proving that Nigerians can build serious technology platforms. And I'll name M-Pesa amongst those as well, because M-Pesa is doing very well in Kenya, amongst many others. So why is local talent treated as secondary? Why are juicy contracts, as they like to say in Nigeria, often externalized, while citizens are told to make groundnut and kuli kuli, fashion, soap, or small retail businesses rather? There's nothing wrong with small businesses. Small businesses matter, but a nation cannot tell its people to start small while outsourcing the commanding heights of the economy. That is not empowerment. That is a two-tier system. Small opportunities for locals, strategic opportunities for outsiders. And that is why this conversation matters. The answer is not isolation. Africa does not need to reject the world. Africa does not need to refuse partnership. Africa does not need to pretend that foreign expertise has no value. That is not the argument. The argument is that partnership must not be dependency. Foreign collaboration should not mean African inferiority. Foreign investment should not mean local exclusion. Foreign advice should not override local knowledge. Foreign validation should not be the price of African credibility. What must change is the mindset and the model. We need to rebuild confidence in local talent. And to wrap up, we need procurement systems that give African firms fair access to major projects. We need governments that deliberately build domestic capacity. We need regional trade that reconnects African markets. We need education systems that teach African achievement alongside global knowledge. We need African systems. Actually, I'm going to retract, or I'm going to just go back one step. We need education systems that teach African achievement alongside global knowledge. And I'm going to defer to Nduku here to say that we need an Ubuntu style system, a system that takes care of every one of us, that takes care of every one of us in a communal way, and I believe that's the only way we can push forward. We need to stop treating foreignness as proof of competence, and we need to stop confusing proximity to whiteness with excellence. In closing, when we ask, why do we need the white man? We are not asking a simple racial question. We are asking a deeper question. Why do we still need external approval to believe in ourselves? Why do our systems still face outward? Why do our governments trust foreign consultants more than local experts? Why do our economies export value and import dependency? Why do our young people have to leave to be recognized? Why do we remember colonial approval more than clearly, why do we remember colonial approval more clearly than African achievement? And most importantly, what will it take for us to trust ourselves again? Because the future of Africa will not be built by people who are waiting for permission. It will be built by people who understand their history, trust their capacity, reconnect with each other, and design systems that serve their own people first. So, yeah, welcome to the conversation today. I hope I've been able to give a good overview of that topic. We can now dive deep into the whole thing.
Babajide, it's good to be clear on what future of Africa we're talking about, because you can say the future of Africa, but it is the future of Africa liberated and sovereign. Depends, and I'll go even further and say it depends on brutally unapologetic Africans grounded on Africanness, and not seeking to say, and this is not a criticism to you, because I notice this is something in us that we've been engineered to say, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? What are you sorry for? And to who? Your your oppressor. You're sorry about saying your oppressor is oppressing you? Like, I ain't sorry for standing for my people. I ain't sorry for saying I'm done with your white-ish and it's time to center us on Africanness. So No, we're not sorry for this broadcast. We're not sorry for saying the things that we're saying today.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah. So, I think or Oladele, maybe I'll allow you to lead, on the first point, because I think the first point that will be quite poignant here will be the decolonization of the mind, because that is really 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 the problem that we have here. The fact that we look at everything, we still look at everything we do, through the lenses of the white man. Let's like you said, let's use that
Because
let's not be
because it
apologetic.
convinces unapologetic, guys, and I see some white fragility in the audience.
Oh,
You're more than welcome. So yeah,
Yes,
no
welcome.
apologies there.
Let
Yeah,
find
more
out the
than welcome.
truth. Mm.
Yeah. Okay, because he convinced us he was civilization itself. He convinced us he was civilization itself.
yeah, yeah. I think,
And
yeah. Go on.
yeah, so the fact that he convinced us that he was civilization itself, what it took from us is who we are, who we were.
Mm.
Because we, as like I said initially, we are civilization. We existed hundreds and hundreds of years before the Muzungu was even came into existence. The fact that they had to go to all that struggle to actually erase our African history and to then impose themselves on us as the first says a lot about them.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is basically,
Okay, go on.
yeah,
Go
go
on.
on. Go on.
Two questions to both of you so that we can approach this issue. Two questions. In the work that we've been doing, what are the there's two things that we have encountered, two barriers where when we say to our brothers and sisters, shed this, they fight. Two. What are the two things where they don't even want to sit and have a conversation?
It's education and religion.
Not
Yeah.
education. Education is not, it doesn't even come up. It's
Religion.
two things. Religion is one of
Religion is
them.
number one. Religion is number one.
Yeah,
What's the other one?
What's the other thing?
Yeah.
What's the other one? Every time we have tried to build community, start a project, and it failed. Why? The other one.
Money.
Working together.
Capitalism, money, capitalism.
Capital.
Saying
Yeah. Okay.
to capitalism.
I was. Yeah.
Those two things,
Yeah.
religion and saying no to capitalism, is where our people, we cannot reach them. And
Yes.
so when you understand that, then you understand that is the source of the problem.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It is religion. When you're told that your God is white, when you as a Black person have a white, like I grew up, I used to call this priest Jesus because he was so light-skinned. As a child in Kenya, a Catholic priest, I used to call him Jesus because he wore white and he was very light-skinned. He was African. He was a Kamba man. But because he was very light-skinned and he wore white all the time, I called him Jesus. Because as a child, as a small child, before I even know how to talk well, I have been shown that God is white. God has a white beard. And for our sister, I'm guessing it's a sister in the chat because you said queen in your profile name, saying that we had wigs before. No, we didn't have white wigs. We had black wigs, yes. And this is the problem always when this is another problem, and we can talk about that later. When we attack the disease amongst us, our people want to defend it because they just don't have the courage to let go. So they're like, oh, Christianity was ours. Oh, we had wigs before. Oh, we started this before, so it's ours anyway. No, we're talking about the whiteness of it all. The wigs that our lawyers and our judges wear are white. And they weren't brought by us or made by us. They were brought by Western institutions. But the mental colonization starts with a God, a white God. And that's what it is. The biggest barrier is the white God, the white Jesus, the white nuns, the white angels falling from heaven, the white angels remaining in. And remember that when they fall from heaven, they change color. Do you remember that? When they fall from heaven, they change color?
Yeah, they become black.
Yeah. Exactly. So that is deep conditioning. And until we address that,
I agree. And sorry, Babajide, part of the decolonization process is basically to get away from those religions. A lot of our people struggle. Like I said, they defend it. I was having a chat with somebody at work on Friday, and everything I said to him, we all agreed. And then I guess the next question I asked is, are you Christian? And he said yes. And the moment he said yes, then I said, unfortunately, you have to go one step further to get away from that. And he started defending it. And he said to me, at least the Muslims are worst. Like he just said there. That's what he said. So, and like Nduku said, this is basically where the biggest challenge faces us, for us to actually imagine that we can do without their religion. Because don't forget, there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is dogma. It basically tells you to have to believe in things. When spirituality already knows things, there's a difference. So in our decolonization, guys, we need to get away. We need to get away from these things. We need to decolonize our minds from the education, from the religion. Like Nduku said, capitalism, for those who defend capitalism, it was built in the UK. It was basically when the lords trying to make sure they control the citizens. That's where capitalism came to being, because they had to control, because people were living like we used to live in Africa. The West lived that way as well. They had their own lands. They were communal. But the capitalists, the lords, and what they wanted to control land. And that's basically where capitalism came into, that they can control. So, guys, what we are embracing, and like I was saying to one of my cousins this afternoon, what we're embracing is basically a subversion of ourselves into a system that keeps us in survival mode forever. Because how many people are going to have the capital become a capitalist or an entrepreneur in Africa today? How many? So all these systems are basically keeping us there. And then that way, instead of us looking inwards, we keep looking outwards. So the people that brought the problem, thinking that the people that brought the problem are going to be the solution for you. Make it make sense. Babajide, go on.
Yes. So I'm just agreeing with you, because like I've said, we've probably had this conversation numerous times, private conversations numerous times, where I've said that, for me, the journey has been long. So I have seen that process over the last 20 something years. I've seen it, and it's not going to change. Okay. This is like I keep on saying, the key thing here is we need to create our own system. Okay, I've called this system the African economic system, Nigerian economic system, Kenyan economic system, South Africa, whatever we want to call it. It could even be Ubuntu system, but that system needs to be created. Following that, and following the gradual decolonization of the mind, we then need to sensitize the people, or our people, into believing that we can do it. Because right now, this is the biggest problem we have. And I'll dovetail into what Nduku said. It's still to do with capitalism. It's still to do with capitalism, right? Because we don't have the resources, that would help us move from A to Z as a business entity or as a community. We're always, deferring back to that, what we call investment community, to try and raise those resources, because within ourselves we can't seem to be able to do it. So there's that handicap there, so until we can how would I put it, until we can create that movement to facilitate a process where we're self-sufficient, we can fund ourselves, we can fund each other, we can build community around it. I think a lot of people who still find themselves in that state of or that colonial state of mind, or colonized state of mind, it will be very, very difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, I've sat down, I've analyzed it, I've looked at, even tried to game theory it, do some calculations to say, oh, if this changes, what happens here? If that changes, what happens there? it's going to be very, very difficult. You know. So I mean, Nduku, what's any further comments?
The one thing that we all have in common, and I suggest that, and I'm going to post, it's going to be posted on probably July 26th. I'm going to be on Mobali Makasi. Makasi is a platform, a French platform channel where I'm going to be talking about my story. But one of the one thing the three of us have in common is we had to say no to religion. And we started seeing things differently. Like when we detached and we had to say no to capitalism, right? So that we understood what saying no to capitalism means, right? We may be existing in it because we have no choices right now. And for example, when I'm at home, I get to be free of capitalism in some ways. So I get to do barter trade at home when I'm at home back in Kenya. I get to practice barter trade. So I actually do practice barter trade. The thing is, the rest of the world, the African world, is not doing that. And I believe it's what, when it comes to capitalism, that is what will free us, barter trade. Because in barter trade, you find value in so much more than just money. You find value in you, the human being, and what you can do as a human being. So if I can come to your land today and help you harvest, you give me a sack of corn. We have exchanged. I, the human being, was of value. I helped you harvest your corn. And then in return, I got food. Capitalism doesn't understand that. Capitalism is you're a laborer, you will come at 9, you will leave at 10, I will pay you this, there's no benefits, and you're not getting any corn. I'm taking this corn and I'm selling it for this price. Can you afford it? You buy it for that price, despite the fact that I'm paying you less than what my corn costs. You see what I'm saying? So, and that is the system we have embraced, that psychologically deficient system that I just described now that sounds insane compared to the simple. I have a skill, I'm coming to help you, and out of what we create together, you give me some return and I get relief, food relief. That's how simple that is. And that is what we fight against. So the thing that we are suffering from, which is menticide, as Bobby Wright said, is so complex, and it needs teachers like us. I don't know if Oladele has worked with me. He's not there 100%. He's worked with me 99%, that are brutally honest. Brutal, where I'm telling you and you're crying, but I'm still telling you because I love you so much. Like, seriously, that is the level of warriorship that is needed. I was on the phone with my mother the other day, and I was like, should I share this story or not? I said, okay, I'm going to share it. And I was talking politics, and I was explaining what's happening in Kenya. And she said to me, Nduku, I don't want to talk about this. Is toxic. This is toxic. I want peace. My brother right now is in law enforcement custody. My family, only one person has a job. My whole family, there's 6 of us, children, struggling to get food. But my mother calls that peace. That's the peace that she'd rather have than discussing the conditions, the situation that is causing her problems and finding solutions. You see how psychologically warped we are? That us discussing what is causing this situation that you're suffering from and talking about how we can find solutions is causing you unhappiness. And you'd rather not do that and stay in this thing that you're calling peace, but it's not peace. This is the problem of the African.
And this sorry, Babajide, this has come from the psychology of religion, because in religion it tells you to defer your problems, pray to a God up there somewhere, and just wait, and solutions will come. So the work that needs to be done there and then, we defer it, we pray it away. And I see this as a Nigerian, I see everywhere, because I was speaking to my cousin today, and what was he saying to me? It is well. When it is not well. That's basically the throwaway comment I hear from Nigerians, that it is well.
It is well.
How can it be well? How can it be well?
My soul.
So it is well with your soul.
You know when this song is sung? It's quite appropriate, isn't it? Because it's not.
Yeah, it's not. But though that song and that phrase is basically, it takes us away from taking accountability and responsibility.
Oh, of course.
Because we don't want to confront it, and that's one of the biggest challenges facing Africans today. We don't want to confront.
Olade, so sorry to cut in here. You have to remember something though, and I say this with all due respect to everyone that's watching. Now we've been taking, the continent has been taken, or our people have been taken to a point where, okay, let me cite this example first because it will then lead to what I'm about to say now. If I drive from the south of England today, yeah, because this is what I wanted to say following what the example Nduku just gave, right? If I drive from the south of England today to the north of the UK, I will not find one fruit tree. I will not find one fruit tree that I can say, oh, let me stop by the road, just have fun, pluck it, wash the fruit, eat, I've got to actually go into a supermarket to buy that fruit. Now, when I buy that fruit is seedless. So you see how it dovetails into what you just said now about, back home. Yeah. And this is the dependency that we have. So going back to what you're saying, Oladele, you go to Nigeria or anywhere in Africa, people can't eat, they have to rely on cash. Yeah. So they have to work for cash to go and eat. Meanwhile, many, many years ago, within the community where you have your huts, yeah, there will be numerous trees. There's water leaf growing. You want to eat. You're actually plucking from the ground to go and cook. You're plucking from the ground to go and cook. This, even up until when I was in university in Nigeria, we used to pluck water leaf within the dormitory area to go and eat because it was just growing wildly. Yet, capitalism is telling us, no, you can't pluck that fruit wildly. No, you mustn't touch it. We've got to collect it, rinse it up, put it in a bag, then go drop it in a supermarket so that people can buy. I mean, I was walking around the supermarket, recently. I'm like, why do we really have to do this? But then again, a lot of people are, in the cost of living crisis that we're in, a lot of people are waking up. Black, white, pink, yellow, everybody's waking up, creating small gardens in their homes, whether it's flats or houses. Some have what do you call them now? Greenhouses in their gardens. Everybody's waking up. Why pay for stuff you can grow in your garden at the supermarket? So yeah, I think the difficulty is people are struggling to eat. You now getting them to think like, oh, I've got to worry about this religion. Oh yeah, the white man brought it, but I still have to or then how do I want to start this business? Oh, but this company is going to give me $1 million or $10 million, and from there it's going to become $1 billion. I'd rather do that because that's what they know. So how do you correct that? So what I'm saying is that it's going to take a long time to change this. So this journey is long, is what I'm saying. To cut it short, the journey is long.
And none of us, the other thing, so we're still talking about mental colonization. That's where we are still on the topic, and then we're going to move to the next one.
Yes.
The other thing too is those of us doing the work, those of us who've gone through the process, who've allowed ourselves the discomfort to get to a comfortable place, not quite there, but the eventual place is comfort. We need to they say have thick skin. We need to have thick skin because you will be cursed. You will be called all kinds of names, especially by your own people and the Kyles of the world. You will be first of all, the minute you start this process, and we're going to have like I said, I'm going to be appearing on the channel where we're going to be talking about this. The minute you start this process, the first people to detach from you is your blood family.
Your family straight away. Yeah.
Your blood family. They want nothing to when you show up for family gatherings, just talk about anything else but what you do.
But yeah, because the moment you do, and
and let it not, all kinds of microaggressions
You know
within the
what,
family.
Nduku, you're saying that when me and my wife started, because initially, I was now mellow now because I don't even say anything. I just mellow. But then, because you're at that stage and you question everything, and when I bring it up, or you can see their reactions. You can see their reactions to this to the point
Here she goes again.
to the
Here he
point where
goes.
I say to them, we used to have family meetings. To the point I say, you know what? I said to them, I said, guys, what's the point of having this family meeting where we're praying all the time? I'm not for that no more because it's fruitless. So I basically said I'm out, and then we stopped it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That same family that is frustrated that you're talking and they call it politics. And let me just let news flash to all my African brothers and sisters today, and to the rest of the world, to the white people we are talking about as a problem, because you have proven through history to be an infestation that eats up everything. That is why we are addressing you as such, because this is not speculation. This is everything you touch turns to ash. Everything you touch rots. Every single thing you touch is destroyed. So excuse us, we don't have time for saying sorry. This is land experience. We have
We've lived
experienced you. We have lived it. So we don't even need you to convince us. Oh, we are not that. No, my brothers and sisters. Step up and tell the white man no. That's the thing. But these same family who are uncomfortable. Oh yeah, the news flash I was telling my brothers and sisters, that's where I was. Nothing is this delineation of things. Oh, politics is here. Economics is here. Oh, Christianity and religion is here. And I don't want to hear about politics. I want to deal with these as if this is not controlling this, right?
They're all intertwined.
When Africans say Africa got political independence but not economical independence, I have to be in rooms pretending that, okay, let's go along with that statement, as illogical as it sounds. Let me just be quiet and let them talk and hear what they have. There's no such thing as political independence and no economic. And first of all, Africa never received political independence. Let's just start with that. That in itself is a lie. No African nation is politically independent.
Nope.
The only one that is close to being right now is Burkina Faso. Those three nations, those are the only ones that are close to being politically independent. None is. So this business of we are celebrating Independence Day and all that, continue to live the lie. This is what we need to stop. To start correcting ourselves mentally, we need to stop ish like that. These small things that we think are small, but they actually control our brains, we need to stop. African Liberation Day, what is that? And then, because there are two things can be true, there could be a co-option by the CIA or whatever these people are putting out that decides that African Liberation Day, us saying African Day, is co-option by CIA. That could be true. But it could also be true that some Africans said, hey, there's no liberation, so why are we calling it African Liberation Day? Why don't we call it African Ancestor Memorial? Something that is going to keep us, reminding us that we are fighting. We are still not done. But until we start calling out small things like we're sitting celebrating a liberation we don't have, we are in rooms talking about a political independence we don't have, we will be mentally colonized because we are literally living it every single breath, every single word. And words are powerful. So when we start saying, we're not politically, Africa is not politically, economically, and all those things, by the way, are the same thing. That is life.
Yeah.
Life is politics, life is economics, life is spirituality, life is physical well-being, life is spiritual well-being, life is mental. You cannot separate. You cannot take Nduku and take her mental well-being and put it here and then say, let's deal with physical Nduku. And put her under torture and think that it won't affect this. So we have a lot of work to do individually, but the thing that we need to understand as Africans is none of this is going to be comfortable. So the first step, which I took as an individual, where I sat at my desk at the employer's place, the federal government office where I worked, I sat and said to myself, I have been reading about Angela Davis. I have been reading about Assata Shakur, Malcolm, and all of them. What happened to them when they fought for liberation? This is what happened to them. Am I ready for that? I had to say, yes, I'm ready for that discomfort, that risk, that threat to fight for my people's well-being. So until you get to that mindset, just keep shuffling.
Unfortunately, a lot of us are not ready for that discomfort. And this is basically where we are. And this is basically why the system has got you into the capitalist mode. where
Yes.
you can't think and you can't do otherwise, and you have to stay stuck in it.
Yes.
But let me say, okay, because the structures he left behind requires him. The structures he left behind requires him.
Yes.
That's where we're at right now.
Yes, that's where we are.
Those structures, yeah. So those structures, how do we get away from those structures? Those structures are the education that we've all gone through.
Education, religion.
Those structures, yeah. Those structures are the religion.
Yeah.
Those structures are economic systems.
Yep.
Now they're controlling our agriculture.
Yep.
Yeah. Our architecture.
Yep.
Is colonial.
Currency.
Our currency is colonial.
Yeah.
So you got the white man in every facet of your life, and you still tell me that you're free. So, and you would go into a room, talk, and spout all these things to people like you know so much. Yet your thinking is still colonial. And you call yourself an African. So what about you is African when everything you say and everything that comes out of your mouth sounds like a white man?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything.
Guys, and this is the work, this is the uncomfortable work that we all need. This is the work that we are not doing. And if you say you want independence and you have an economic solution that keeps you in perpetual slavery and poverty, don't tell me that you're free, because you're not. When you go into deals and the colonial institutions hold you, at a base level where they have the advantage over you, and you're going to do a deal with the same people and you think there's equity. There's no equity in that, because your currency, they've already devalued for you before it even comes. Basically, you're starting from a disadvantage before you even sit down to talk.
Yeah.
And they will come into the room with you and they will look you in your face and saying they're doing an equitable deal with you when they already have an advantage before you even started.
Yeah. So
this is the things that we talk about. We're not having a dig at anybody, but just look at the situation, look at the circumstances in which you're in. Look at what you're dealing with, and tell me if you're actually free to decide your own trajectory. We're not. Babajide, go on.
Yeah. So I think for those that are listening, nobody's attacking anybody here. We're just stating the facts. Okay, the facts, they're there. They're in the numbers. Okay, I've done work around the so-called GDP figures from 1946. That tells me a story. It tells me a story that is not good for Africa at all. On top of that, there's a TED talk that was delivered by one very smart lady, a Nigerian lady, where she cited the fact that when she goes into these meetings with her colleagues, or she went to this meeting with her colleague one of those days, and he said, oh, he doesn't like going to these African meetings. He prefers going he doesn't like going to the Asian meetings. He prefers going to the African ones. And do you know why? Yeah. Because the Asian ones will scrutinize the contracts. I think you The Asian
I heard that before.
The Nigerian ones or the African ones, they just wave it through. And that's part of why we're where we are. Even though, you see, going back to what Oladele is, touched on, right? Yes, capitalism may not be or is not good for us, right? But this starting point right now, we need to get certain things right first before we move forward. Or should I say, in order that we can move forward. So yes, we're working within. Do you understand? There has to be a starting point. Is what I'm saying.
Within the framework, yeah.
Yes, within the framework, there has to be a starting point. We can't just say, "Oh, we're going to wake up tomorrow and everybody's going to be doing communal trading, Ubuntu." Yes, some of us will start, but within that existing capitalist system, we need to find equity. We need to find equity. We need to stop doing all the stupid things We need to stop thinking, oh, because I've got a PhD or I've got this, oh, I'm good. I need to be in that room and I'll do the right thing. With the graph that I have of Nigeria or Africa, the graph is in a downward trend. It's been in a downward trend since 1960. But nobody sees it because I've got my numbers that will be published. I keep on saying it's a lot of work. You know, I did further analysis on, you know, just to touch on some of the things we said earlier as well about, you know, doing it and doing it well. How did Singapore do it? How did China do it? They used some of the methodologies that Nduku has alluded to. They've got the culture. China has embedded the culture 100%. Singapore did the same thing. Then what did Singapore do? They said, okay, yeah, we have our culture, yeah, but we're going to use English just for communication purposes as the mode as the language of doing business. And that worked. But when you dig deep into the system, you will find out that it's theirs. It's theirs. Yes, they're working within the capitalist system, but they fashioned their own way of doing things. Likewise, China. Nobody knows how China did it because they will never tell you. And that's the same thing that we need to do. And think about it. Imagine that we can thrive within this. Africans can thrive within this system. It now becomes easier to adopt Ubuntu locally. It becomes easier.
I'm gonna push back a little bit. I'm gonna push back a little bit on that one, Babajide. Because I don't think Africa will never ever thrive on a capitalist system. We won't.
No. I said thrive. No, I said okay. What I mean, I don't mean thrive. I say in the short term. Even though we need to use we're going to use parallel systems. I accept that because we have to find a way to bridge the gap. But long term, so long term, Africans need to find their own system. Yeah, and that system is basically.
Oladele, just to support you, even in the short term, and you see, you and I do this a lot, and you and I are in spaces where this is done, Oladele. Even in the short term, as an African, you cannot be purely capitalist. You cannot be purely capitalist if you're seeking liberation. What do I mean by that? There's so much that Oladele and I give for free, but it's not free. And some in the audience actually understand this. We are doing barter trade as much as we are doing like we are doing everything to work. So you can't be purely capitalist. To be purely capitalist is to be exploitative. So the fact that we are already doing some communal, some cooperative, we are already moving away from capitalism. So that is the way we exist now. Existing under capitalism because it is the system that is governing us, unfortunately, while figuring out structures and strategies to bring it down.
We're saying the same thing.
And while building other structures slowly so that they can gain strength, and so that our people who are weak-minded, yes, that is what it is when you're mentally colonized. Our people who are weak-minded can believe, because our people now want to believe what they can see, because cognitive dissonance is real. So that they can see, oh, these people actually are doing well with barter trade. I'm gonna try this. That's where our people are, is see and do.
Seeing and believing.
Wait. It's okay. This person has given their efforts, their skills for free, but they got this in return, and then someone else will try that as well. So none of us who seeks liberation is purely capitalist.
I'm completely with you. Phased process, parallel process. You know, the key thing is there will be a starting point that will lead to the end point. And I'll take it a step, further. A few years ago, I was in Nigeria, right? And we wanted to buy I think a cow, and my mom knew all these local people who could get these cows. So anyway, she sent me a picture of the cow that she was going to get, and I was sitting with a friend. And I was telling you, oh yeah, we're looking to buy a car. I said, oh yeah, that car is going to be X amount, very expensive. Only for me to tell him that no, the car was not expensive. The car was X. He's like, oh, hang on a minute. How was your mom able to get it that cheap? So, oh yeah, she knows, where to go, etc. What am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say here is, it was that day that I realized why the Fulani people of West Africa, yeah, would never stop trading cows. That was the day that I knew they will never stop trading cows. A lot of people derogatorily refer to these people as, oh, cattle rearers, cattle herders. These guys have been doing it for centuries. There's a reason they've been doing it for centuries. There's a reason why that cow is valuable. Because the cow that was probably, let's say, 100,000 10 years ago is now 1 million today. But it's still a cow to them. But if they need to use cash within the system, they just sell one cow.
Not just that, Babajide. Not just
please.
that.
Tell me.
That cow provides milk. That cow is going to help
value chain, an entire value chain.
Yeah, right. You can use that cow to till the land. That cow is going to its feces. You're going to use it for manure. That's what we do at home. So, growing up as a child, every time we went to visit my grandma was harvest manure time. We would go to the cattle shed and dig it, put it in bags, and take it to the garden. So there's so much more value in a cow that herders understand.
Yes.
That cow is gonna feed your family while it's still alive. That cow is gonna, so yes,
look,
go on, my brother.
So that day, is when I begun to appreciate and understand these people better. Yes, right now there's a lot of issues around them, but I feel that we need to respect them more. We need to appreciate them more because they bring more to the table than we can appreciate. Yes, they have these. I think I don't know what the conspiracy is around them wanting to take over the whole of West Africa. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I mean, that's not what we're here to talk about today. But yes, they're the ones creating problems in Nigeria at the moment. But my own philosophy is that I think we need to learn to appreciate them and work with them so that we can learn a lot. Excuse me, we can learn a lot from them. And just to say one more thing before, excuse me, hands off. Have you heard of mad cow disease? I'm sure Oladele, you probably know.
We have.
Yes.
Now, can I ask you one question? Have you ever heard of mad cow disease in West Africa?
No. I have a theory to that, but go on, brother. I know.
We know. I know exactly where you're going with that, but no, we never heard of it. We never heard of it. No.
Nah, you rarely hear about these things in Africa. Yet we bastardize these herders, saying, "Oh yeah, they should go and they should go and they should go and get a ranch. They should stop doing what they're doing. They're a menace. They're this, they're that." Yet the beef that they provide is one of the most valuable to the continent. The continent is 1.4 billion people, right? Europe is what? Half of that. And they're declining. And majority of it is down to what? UPFs. Yeah, ultra-processed foods. Unreal foods, if you can put it down to that. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at as a people that can take us forward, that can dismantle those structures that were left behind, that we're still holding on to today. Hand over to Oladele.
Yeah, what you said there, and I'm just going to tap into what you said there. So when we say, as Africans, that we don't need the white man, that's what I just alluded to. Because basically, everything that we're copying, like the processed food, what does it bring? It brings death. It brings problems. The education, it basically doesn't give us African solutions. It gives a solution that belittles us. The religion, it doesn't honor our ancestors. It doesn't honor our ancestors. It basically makes us look outwards instead of looking within for solutions. Our education, now it's since 1957 Ghana and forward, what have we got? We still have a white man's curriculum in 2026. There's nothing that we haven't got an Afrocentric, Pan-African. Let's just say Afrocentric curriculum. A curriculum. We said we Africans are smart people. And in our smartness, we haven't done the work. We haven't actually sat down within ourselves and built a curriculum that's grounded in our Africanness and basically something that's unique to us. So we still have a white man's curriculum in 2026, and yet you expect us to be mentally free. So what you're doing is, and I feel sorry for the next generation, because basically the next generation is basically being indoctrinated in what we went through. So when we're talking about getting away from the white man, how are we going to get away from the white man, but when we're still inculcating and imbibing the white man into the next generation? So how then can we be purely, authentically African in what we're doing when we don't know who we are? Our worldview is white. And I was in a session the other day in a customer service broadcast where the lady was saying to me, but you know, she's in Nigeria. She's never left, but so she's, you know, blah blah blah. She's trying to tell me that, okay, whatever she's doing in Africa, she actually never left. And my answer to her was, I'm in the West right now, yeah, but the fact that I left, I understand the system. The fact that you're there and you're propagating a white man solution in an African country, Nigeria, what does that say about you? Is your solution Nigerian? No, it's a white man solution. And you sound so authoritative and giving that solution, despite the fact that it's not Nigerian. Yeah. So you don't have to leave Nigeria to be white.
Yeah. I you know, and just to nail this on its head, right? You know, the one thing that I find very, very odd. Do you know we don't have, in Africa, we don't have our own certification systems. I hope you realize that. Yeah. Every single thing we do is certified from the UK. Yeah. So, you know, the International Standards Organizer, ISO.
Our exams will be sent to the UK.
Sure. Yeah. Let me say 90% of the things that we do, yeah, 90 to 95% of the things we do in Africa are certified by Western organizations. I mean, how is it that an entity in Wall Street would come to Nigeria or Ghana in particular, because they do it to Ghana a lot, would say, oh, we don't think your cocoa is going to do well this year, or we don't think your banks are good enough to manage certain loans. They came to a Frexim bank. Oh, we don't think your loans that you gave out to Ghana or to these countries are going to be paid back on time. So we're rating you X. I mean, who gives who that right? Who gives the right?
Hello? Okay, let's move on, guys.
No, hold on. Right. That reminds me. Sorry, the mute button was far away. That reminds me. Like we literally started with the song. Who gave them the right? Right. Every time we come on, we play that. Who gave them the right? Every time, and every time that resonates with me. No one did. They gave it to themselves. But we, the dum-dums, accepted that they gave it to themselves and keep going along like dum-dums. That is literally what we are, dum-dums. No, I'm not even kidding, because when you think about the description of these terms, we are definitely stupid for functioning the way we function. We're definitely stupid, for real. Like when you think about it. Yeah. So here is the thing: the Monrovia, the Casablanca group, right? We have that situation going on. Yeah. And Nkrumah and them are on one side, and Ethiopia and them are on the other side. Nkrumah and them are saying, if we leave our structures attached to the colonialists, we will never be liberated. We will never be independent. The other guys are like, we got colonial, but we need these partnerships. We need these partnerships. And they end up winning. And that's where the problem begins. That's where the origin of this problem is. Because our brothers and sisters to this day are not willing to say, to hell with you, white man, we're going to start from scratch. That is the problem. When you ask when you mention the issue, many of the structures left behind were meant to keep us reaching outward for them to function. The center of gravity remains outside Africa. How do we change that? we remove that center of gravity. We shift the center of gravity. We as Africans, we say no. But guess what that's going to take currently, given the currently diagnosis of the state of Africa? We have betrayers. We have the CIA in Africa. We have Africans who are willing to get paid pennies to kill fellow Africans. We have Africans in South Africa who are willing to get paid pennies to push a xenophobia theme and start attacking fellow Africans. These are people being paid by covert operatives. Whatever nation it is, I don't know, but I'm certain that covert operatives are behind this situation and other situations in Africa, right? Why? Because I have worked with them, but also because I have read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and John Perkins, who worked for them, told us how they move. And we know that they're in there. So for us to actually liberate ourselves, we have to take out these entities. We know that, but we want peace. We don't want that. That is too toxic, Nduku. I want peace. I don't want to be bothered by that conversation. I want peace. No, that is our problem. We want peace that is not peace.
Yeah.
We want this phony peace. It isn't peace.
It is well.
Yeah. Guess who's gonna be here to tell you?
Well.
Like, right?
Yeah.
Guess who's gonna be here to tell you every time it's not well? I'll be in that chat, and you'll call me a troll, and yes, I will be trolling. I will come to your chat, and you will sing "It Is Well," and I will loudly, in a loud voice, sing "It is not well." I'll be that person. You'll be on the phone bullshitting with me, and I'll say that's bullshit in better words, but I will call you out because that's not the case. And that's why I end up having so many enemies, and people are going around saying she's hard to work with because I'm not compromising. Because when I see it having the stink of Urugu, I will call you out, my brother and sister. So until a good number of us, not necessarily all of us, but a good significant number of us move that way, until we stop saying sorry, until we stop saying, Nduku, you're being aggressive, you're upsetting people, until we stop that, no, that truly is what it is. We're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, we need to stop being apologetic about that, because I think we're trying to be comfortable in particular rooms and we don't want to upset people. But guys, look at precedents. Look at what they've done to us. They don't even look at you before they do the evil to you.
These are people who raped us. These are when you read medical apartheid, these so-called doctors were cutting up black women without anesthesia, cutting their vaginal areas without anesthesia to test how it works, to do testing. And I'm supposed to care how you feel when I say something?
Yeah, their feelings and the white fragility. No.
I'm supposed to apologize for anger and for being abrasive. You all have something. Listen, this is what I'm going to say to you. Just don't work with Nduku if you don't have the skin, because she'll let you know.
Because the thing is that it's difficult. Was when for somebody like you, for somebody, when you go through history and doing the kind of research that we've done to get to this point, if you're not angry, then you have a problem. Yeah, but if you're not angry with what they've done and the history, then you have a problem, because you don't have to use the anger to do particular. But what you need to do is use the anger to build solutions that grounds you in the way forward for your continent.
That is it.
Without looking at them, because it doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. They are the problem.
Yeah,
exactly.
So use that anger to build that solution that's going to ground you in your community, and that's going to take you away from those, I call them the cankerworms.
Yeah, I think I agree.
That's going to keep infesting.
Yeah, I think I agree.
But Babajide, quickly before you come in, the flip side to Nduku's anger when it comes to the problem and the barriers is love, a dear and dedicated love for her people. And so if you're moving in the Ubuntu way, I will love you to death. I will fight for you. I will kill for you, given the training and the the knowledge of how to do that. Like that's the type of dedication we have to have, right? We keep talking about we are in we're refusing. We had a meeting once where we were like, can we all agree on the fact that we are at war? And we couldn't come to an agreement on that fact. So think about, like, if we cannot agree that we are under attack, which is war, if we as Africans cannot agree. The other day I had some Negropean on Instagram telling me that I'm mentally sick because I think that there's racism in 2026. Now imagine the blessing this person has, that all they have to see is my words on Instagram and not a slap in the face. Because that's where I am right now. Like, honestly, I'm doing everything I can to keep my hand down if I'm standing next to you and you're telling me there's no racism in 2026.
I think anybody that thinks there's no racism in 2026, is not living in the real world. That's number one. Then number two, I think we need to begin to everybody, or both sides, the white man and the black man.
No.
Or the
Do
African,
not include the white man in the solution. Let them look.
No. Hear what I want to say
on.
first. Hear what I want to say first. Yeah. The white man and the African man needs to understand that there is a problem. Okay? There is a problem.
The white man doesn't need to do shit.
No.
We need to do all. No,
Yeah,
for real. No, listen to me, my brother. Listen to me, because that's where the problem is. Stop including them in the solution. They don't need to do shit. They will find out what they need to do when we get ourselves right.
Okay, that's
They'll
fine.
be like, oh shit, we need to survive. The Africans are on the time. We need.
Babajide, they don't particularly care.
You don't need to worry about what they need to do.
Let's not worry about them.
Yeah. So let's work from our side of the solution. Okay, so I've written something down here when you were giving examples earlier. Now,
okay,
what I was going to say off the back of what I started off with was the fact that when to be brash, when shit hits the fan, yeah, nobody's going to care. Or how would I put it now? The white man doesn't care whether the person living in that house is from Ghana, from Haiti, from whatever. They still burn down the house. And what am I talking about here? I'm talking about what happened in Belfast in the last few weeks.
Yep.
Now, that scared me. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
That scared me.
So let us know what happened in Belfast, because not
so what happened in Belfast was that this immigrant, I think he was from Sudan, almost stabbed someone to death. So stabbed him in the eye, injured him, he was arrested, and within hours it caused a riot, and all hell broke loose. The mob hit the streets, and they went around burning houses where immigrants lived.
Of black people.
Immigrants lived. So now, the one thing I was looking out for in the news media was, okay, so what's going on here? But everything was kind of on this side of the aisle, if I can describe it that way. Everything was quiet. But everything shouldn't be quiet. Everything shouldn't be quiet, because reform is pushing the same narratives in England. Now, the thing now is, if something similar now happens, let's say in London, okay, I was having a conversation with someone and said, oh yeah, it's not likely to happen in London because it's cosmopolitan, etc., etc. But hang on a minute. So let's say it happens. It means that automatically I'm a target. My family is a target. My children are targets.
Yep.
It has happened in London last year or the year before, where again a black child did something, a crime, and white people went around beating black people.
It's happening.
It's happening already.
I'm just agreeing. I'm just agreeing with what Nduku is saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? That we need to wake up. That's number one. We need to wake up. It's as simple as that, and do the right thing. Then, I've talked about Belfast. So I'll ask another question, and this is to do with MLK and Malcolm X, because you cited the Monrovia group and the Casablanca group. So it seems like we always have this problem, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We always have this problem. So we've got Malcolm X and MLK, where one said, oh, we should do it this way, and the other said, oh, no, we should do it that way. But look at us, 2026, look at where we are.
Exactly.
Which is, I'm just nailing down what you're saying. So you're understood 100%. Yeah. And as Oladele, alluded to earlier, the issue is the how. The how is the issue. The how. How do we go from here forward?
The how, as much as I don't know the details to the how, one thing I know for sure, that the how cannot include the enemy. That I know for sure. Like, I will argue that and be stubborn and not move from that post. The how can never include the enemy. You said before the example you gave of Belfast, right?
Yes.
And in Belfast, an Irish person was attacked by a black person, and the Irish people came out, because that is who lives there predominantly. White Irish people came out and attacked black people and burned their houses. Think about that. They're right to do so. They're defending their community. That is what we need to understand as black people. Flash back to Africa, and that happens. Mzungu, the Russian guy who slept with all these African women and made them sick. That Russian guy is still alive. Forget about other Russians in Kenya. That particular Russian guy is still alive and walking. His house, his car was not burned. He was comfortable to go in other spaces. And the white people are living happily in Kenya. Their houses were not burned. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I am
and this is what yes. Go on.
Calling
Sorry.
out. When the white man, when it comes to them defending themselves, they know what time it is, and they have no qualms about it. And Ireland is a very religious country. It is a very Catholic country. They are very Catholic, but they're not confused about we were attacked as a community, and we must make the people who attacked us pay and understand that they cannot do this again. We must cause fear in the heart so that next time they think about this, they cannot do it. That's what we need to do as Africans.
Yes, I agree. Because the first thing that came to mind when they showed this lady, she was crying. She lost everything. She said the only thing she could leave the house with was her phone. Her phone. You know, I mean, it was a sad incident. So I said to myself, so where is the black community in Belfast? What is it? I mean, what's the community like?
Is Belfast the home of the black community? First of all, let's ask ourselves that. No, but no. Babajide,
I agree. It's not.
It's not your home. So you will face certain threats, and these are things we need to start learning. If I am in a foreign country where I am living with Urugu, these are the threats I face. I can't be out here talking about my rights, and I am living with Urugu. I actually walked into Urugu's house and said, oh, Urugu, this house is lovely. Let me have rights in your house. No, like, again, our mindset. It would be nice if they honored our rights. It would be nice if they saw me as human. But when I'm in their space, I should expect certain things of them, because that's who they are. When I go to my home and they show up, I need to let them know what time o'clock it is. And I see some comments there, Oladele. We're going to pin those questions comments that are leading to questions that address that how we moving forward. We as Africans, when attacked in our own home, must let the person who attacked us know that it's not accepted, in very clear terms. And those terms ain't sitting with you, praying with you, calling Jesus upon you. No, those terms is you will not be comfortable in Africa. And none of you will be comfortable in Africa if this is how you're behaving. Kenyans know something about that. When the Chinese were beating up Kenyans, they were told what time o'clock it was. So anyway, just my 2 cents on the Belfast issue. It is not nice that it happened to our people, but we should not expect anything else, because we are in their space and this is how they move.
Okay. All right. The honest answer from me, and we go to the questions. We do not need the white man. We never did. What we need urgently, structurally, psychologically, is to dismantle the systems that made it appear otherwise. We need African education that teaches African children who they actually are. We need African capital funding African ideas. We need African institutions strong enough that their validation means something. We need continental integration so deep that Africans become each other's first market, first partner, first call. We need to stop asking for a seat at the white man's table and remember that we built tables long before he arrived. The question is not why we need him. The question is, when did we forget that we don't?
That's a good one. Definitely. You know, I think today Nduku has I think hit the nail on the head. It's a very uncomfortable. It's going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of people because you're taking people out of their comfort zones. But that is the truth, because look at it. How many years now? What, 1960? If we take Nigeria, gained independence, and we're almost like back where we started. And the only difference is,
Yeah,
we've got a new president.
Because you never gained independence. That's because you never gained
Yeah,
independence.
yeah, I agree.
guys, we just, just to wrap this up, guys, we African people, as uncomfortable as it is, and me and Nduku say this all the time, this is the work that we need to do.
Yeah.
We don't want to face the fact that we need to be uncomfortable to gain freedom.
Yeah.
Your trinkets and mirrors and your capitalist overtures, trying to own a home and all those things, is leading you nowhere. All it does is keep you in a cycle that you keep repeating, and there's no liberation.
Yeah.
Africans back home, what capitalism is not going to save any African back home. There's going to be a few people who has the money, but the majority are in poverty. For me, that's not liberation. Liberation means when everybody can actually afford to, have shelter, feed their kids, educate their kids without stressing.
Yeah.
What the white man's given us is not that kind of solution. It's basically kept us in poverty that we never had before. Because don't forget, once upon a time, Africa was never in poverty. We were self-sufficient. We had what we needed.
Yeah.
And guys, we lived in nature and protected nature.
Yeah.
They came and they started destroying nature. They started destroying our water, our farmland. Our crops became cash crops instead of subsistence farming.
Crops, instead of food crops,
So basically, they took away our way of life that was, sufficient and sustainable for everybody, and they brought the white man in the system. And till today, in 2026, we're still hanging on to that.
Yeah,
and that's why the majority of the continent right now is in poverty, because we're using the wrong system, the wrong software, with the wrong we're using the wrong software.
Yeah, so
that's a great analogy.
Just to add to that, and I'm sure we can move pretty swiftly through this. Yeah, Burkina Faso, what do you think they're doing differently right now that can turn this thing on its head? Because yes, we've heard of covert moves being made against him, but even with those covert moves, he's still able to make some good strides. Because I think there was something that he did recently in the last few Nduku, correct me if I'm wrong, in the last few days, apparently he's cut ties completely from France, right?
Yes, a couple of days ago, it cut ties with France.
With France completely. Yeah, so those are the things that I think
But my brother, he's focused. He's focused. He's determined to cut the canker off.
Yeah. So
how many African leaders are ready to do that? That's a sacrifice. How many African leaders are ready to do that? Come with that sacrifice. Is Tinubu ready?
No. Tinubu, I don't think.
No, he's not.
He's not. No.
Mahama is trying. Mahama is trying, but are they ready to cut off? No.
Yeah.
Go on.
Speaking of Tinubu, brother Babajide shared a couple of videos for context with this, and one of them was Tinubu's wife talking about how many billions she gives to this and that. My question if I was standing there next to her, I would have said, "Excuse me, ma'am, how did you make the billions that you can give so freely and so separate, like as if it's nothing? I gave 1 billion to this entity. I gave another billion to that entity. Yes. Imagine me, an African. I am able to give billions to this and billions to that, and that's her, the wife. Where did you get the billions?
And she's saying it with so much confidence, like it was her money.
Imagine
it was her money. You understand? I mean, I just watched. I mean, it's unbelievable. And
then to the two of you, before we move to the questions and solutions, this thing about AGOA goes back to, okay, so we believe that the white man is the solution, and everything that the white man walks on is godly, and it is our way forward as human beings. But so you go ahead and the white man tells you AGOA, African Free Trade, whatever it is, the full name is, that is the solution to your economic wars, that Africans, you can invest. They come to Philadelphia, because I was there when that meeting was held. They tell the blacks in Philadelphia, you can invest in Africa through this system, and you're all now using that white man's way of finding solutions to rebuild your wealth. And then another idiotic white man comes in and says, to hell with AGOA, we are not doing it. And so now that fickle system, because that's what their systems are, that you based everything on, is now poof, because
Gone.
you did not. It's like, it's the three little pigs once again. It's the three little pigs. We keep building with hay, and what was the other house of the three little pigs that went down? Instead of building with a stone, right? With wood and hay instead of building with stone. Right, and there's some racist psychology there to talk about. We can have that through.
I didn't know you knew a white man's nursery rhymes. just pulling your legs there. Just pulling your legs there.
No, but say it. I didn't hear it. I missed the joke.
I said I didn't know you knew some white man's jokes or some white man's nursery rhymes. Sorry, nursery rhymes.
I do what I do from experience. I was conditioned just like all of you. I was just as stupid as everyone else, believing the white man was the solution. Oh, look at the United Nations. You couldn't tell me anything against them. I want a job with the United Nations. I literally got a job with the federal government. Yes. Oh, look at what they're doing. They're helping here. Oh, we're fighting terrorism. We're doing this. I was that person until I realized, oh, shit, this is all trickery. This is the enemy. This white person here is the enemy. This Western system is the enemy. So yes, I know every church song. I know I've read the Bible from one front cover to back cover. I will sing all these church songs. You invite me to church, you will be so proud of me. I'll be there singing along, because that is what will make me ignore the fact that you're all selling bullshit. So yes, we fight the system because we know the system, because we have experienced the system. We've had intimate relations with the system. Regarding AGOA and Western solutions, they are not a solid foundation.
Yeah.
What we create ourselves is a solid foundation, because we help it stay grounded. But to create things ourselves, we have to remove the barriers. We have to remove those who sabotage us. Literally remove them. Give them the option to remove or figure out other ways of removing them. We cannot have CIA operatives. And I'm going to say this publicly. People will be like, why do you say this publicly? These conversations should be had behind closed doors. This one doesn't need to be had behind closed doors. Like, why on earth should it be secret that we Africans should remove the CIA from Africa? Why should that be a secret conversation? How we go about it is what should be secret. And we know it, no one else's business. But the fact that we have to remove covert operatives, we have to remove mercenaries. I shared with you all last week the movie, the Lumumba movie. I'm forgetting it now. I shared it last week. Check our episode from last week, our broadcast on Kumbukeni from last week. You'll see the movie I shared about Lumumba. In that movie, there's a mercenary in a boat being told by another white person, a journalist, and they're all one thing, by the way. The journalist is not better.
Yeah.
Being asked, oh, are you going to get a bunch of people to come and deal with this problem, the Lumumba problem? Oh, yeah, I guess I can get 100 men or so to come. Recruit 100 men or so to come and take care of this. So you tell me as an African warrior, finding that out, why that man needs to breathe another breath in Africa.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Why he, before he even makes the call to call those other 100, and then why we as people should not figure out an intelligence gathering system that figures out who those 100 are and who the thousands who do this work are.
You know what they did in Haiti? For them to win the war, you know what they did? They had to massacre their own people.
Yes.
They had to get rid of them.
They massacred their own people.
Yes.
That's their own people who were sellouts. They had to get rid of them.
They started with getting rid of the sellouts because they understood.
Yeah, because they understood that they had to get rid of them, because otherwise they're gonna get messed up. So they basically had to start with those who are sellouts within for them to get to the enemy.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that.
And that's how that's why they were able to defeat the white people there.
Yeah.
They were very strategic.
Yeah. I always say
this is the lesson we're not learning as Africans.
Yeah. And that's where I always mention the African man needs to evolve and the African man needs to be able to become emotionally intelligent. And no disrespect to any African man that is watching, but I go by data, I go by evidence. In 65 years or 66 years of Nigeria's existence, I have not seen emotional intelligence. You understand? And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, you know.
The
So
intelligence we have is basically a pocket intelligence, man.
exact stomach,
Pockets. That's
stomach
all.
intelligence.
That's all they care about. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Okay, guys, let's go to the questions.
Yes. So yeah.
The first question here
Yeah.
is: could the panelists explain the difference between differences between a modern economic structure within Ubuntu framework versus socialism as contrived from Europe?
The
Compare socialism and Ubuntu. For me, there's no comparison anyway. But if you guys want to go first,
Babajide, go and I'll go. Go, Baba.
Yeah.
I think if I'm going to take the Ubuntu system, right? As much as I haven't really studied it in depth, if I take it from a very, very simplistic view, it's very communal. You do for me, I do for you. We what belongs to me belongs to you. We take care of each other's business in terms of family, in terms of children. Every single thing is means we have to care for the community. We have to care for each other. I'm sure Nduku will be able to explain it even better. Now, how we turn that into a financial model is going to obviously require a lot of. I mean, I don't even think it's going to require too much work. I think we just need to go back to basics. We talked about the cattle rearers earlier. We're going to need farmers. We're going to need people going back to doing tangible things. It's not about wearing a tie, sitting in an office and thinking, oh yeah, you can stock trade. And no, you got to go back to doing real things, and it's those real things that become transferable within the community. And that's what Ubuntu is going to be all about. Because I mean, we're all huddled into New York, huddled into London. There's no community there.
No.
Everybody is just sitting in their homes, waiting to go to the office the next day. Meanwhile, we have what? I think is it 923 square kilometers of land in Africa with 1.4 billion people. If I got that correct, I'm sure I'll get that figure, shortly. There's so much that we can do with Ubuntu. Africa can feed the world even with Ubuntu if we have to. If we have to. We probably don't need to, you understand, where Ubuntu is concerned, so I think Ubuntu, in comparison to I'm not even too familiar with the Nordic model either, the socialist model. I don't think there's any comparison actually, because if we look at climatic. If we look at Russia, right? Because Russia, was a very, very deep socialist state, right? But I would want to believe that socialism didn't really work there because of their climate. Now, if the climate were different, maybe it would have. If it was properly applied in a warm climate where you could grow things, livestock can survive. There's no problems of winter, etc., etc. Maybe socialism would have thrived and would have been able to explain it better. Because you look at China as well, it wasn't really successful there too. And I think I want to put that down to maybe climate, but I'm not an expert on socialism. So maybe Nduku can help me out here.
I said before, anything of the white man does not have a solid foundation. So for me, I don't even entertain. And I've been in rooms where, again, it was controversy and people were like looking at me like I have two heads and they want me to give a scientific explanation. And, oh, the way you describe it, it sounds like all this fufula. I don't care how you feel about Ubuntu. I care that I know what Ubuntu is, and it is our way, and it has had solutions, and it has sustained life. So I don't even worry about what socialism is or whether it can be compared to Ubuntu or not. I don't even bring it into the conversation. So for me, if I'm structuring an African-centered education system, the children that I teach and the children that will be taught under that education system will be taught about Ubuntu from birth to about teenage years, when they actually are mature mentally to a certain level. Teenage years, it will be Africa, everything Africa, 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 Africa to those children, and Ubuntu. When we get to that age in teenage, we will start teaching them about the enemies we have encountered throughout history. And socialism will come in. It appears, my African child, to seem like Ubuntu, but it isn't, because it is not an African way. It is not our way, and therefore we must not attach to it, because those who came up with it are not trustworthy, my child, is how I will teach that.
Yeah.
And so I don't entertain anything from them. And I do this because I'm sick and tired of the judo techniques that my people want me to jump through in meetings to support this nonsense from Western people, when we have our own solutions that are so simple. So what is Ubuntu? Ubuntu is life-sustaining for African people.
Yep.
Ubuntu is anti-death, wasteful death, unnecessary death. It's anti-greed, it's anti-exploitation, it's anti-all that. But guess what life for African people means? When that life is threatened, Ubuntu means you must defend that life. Your well-being is my well-being. So guess what? When I see you under attack, what do?
You protect.
I take away the thing that's attacking you.
Yeah.
That's Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Right. So and the Zulu warriors, as much as they are flawed, and that's a conversation for another day, they had that practice where they would go defend their community. In the moments that they defend their community, they would go through a ritual before they entered back into community to cleanse them, because they understood taking life was not something to be taken lightly, because they were a people of life. So that's how we operate. So could the panelists explain differences between a modern economic structure within an Ubuntu? I don't need Ubuntu to be modern.
No,
right?
There's no point.
Because even as you explain, Babajide, you say, oh, I haven't studied much. You don't need to study much about Ubuntu.
I was going to come back to that, but carry on. Yeah.
Right? You don't need credentials to understand Ubuntu. You don't need some professor from somewhere to say, oh, Babajide is an expert and therefore he can speak on Ubuntu. You need to have that understanding that I just explained.
Yeah.
Grounded.
For us, if it is an African principle, it puts Africans first.
Yeah. So
and then by default, if us standing by Ubuntu produces excess food because we are a people who are grounded in life, maybe we will send some to Europe. Maybe we will send some food to China. But if Europe is attacking our people, we ain't sending no food to Europe so that you can grow healthy and attack us. No, you will starve and we will watch you starving. That is Ubuntu.
So yeah, just to rubber stamp what Nduku has just said. Yeah, Ubuntu. You gave a description earlier that you teach it from a particular age to maybe age 15 or what. No, Ubuntu is going to be, it's a lifestyle. The child is born and they practice, it's practice from birth. You don't even know it's Ubuntu because it's culture, it's everything. The same way. I mean, sorry, I'm using this example. The same way a Jew says, I'm a Jew because it's my religion, it's my culture. The same way a true Yoruba man, is culture, it's spirituality, it's everything. And that's the same thing with Ubuntu. You are born with it. You don't even know you're doing it because it's part of your living experience. Then just quickly, I'll touch on the Nordic model. I know about the Nordic model, but in comparing it to the Ubuntu model, I've got nothing to say about that. That's
okay. There's no point in going. Like I say to the guy, there's no point in going on something that's irrelevant to us, guys. We need to basically focus on our own solutions.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move in because of the time. Let's move on to the next question.
Yes.
Disciplined disciple. Who are we disciples of? What is our discipline? Doctrine, docile, having faith and trust doesn't make someone stupid. It might make them broke or dead, but not stupid. What are you going to say about that?
Depends on what you have faith in. It makes you absolutely stupid to think that a white man is your God. Absolutely stupid. Because what does that... Okay, wait a minute, brother. Go on. Let's look at the word stupid because people want to talk about... Let's find the definition of stupid. All right. Stupid is typically an adjective used to describe a lack of ordinary intelligence, common sense, or quickness of mind. It can also refer to careless decisions or a temporarily inability to think normally, such as being dazed, drunk, or exhausted. Tell me that you believing in a white God is not you being dazed. And then we can have that conversation. Absolutely. Depends on what you have faith in. If you have faith in Ubuntu and in your African people, that's one thing. But if you have faith in a white person,
In a white God.
and you read in the Bible where it says, God created us in his own image, and you're a woman, and it says his, and you're a woman, and you're black, and it says the God is white. Something is not operating right in your mind. Figure out the word to describe it if you don't like stupid. Your mind is not working as it should, because immediately your mind should say something is wrong with that. If God created us in his own image, I look in the mirror, I see a woman. I look in the mirror, I see black. But my friend over there looks in the mirror, she sees white. And she looks in the mirror and she sees woman. And that man over there looks in the mirror and sees man. So this God must come in different forms. There's no one form that can define this creator. And wait, there's a dog. When the dog looks in the water, it sees dog. So this God must be of all kinds of forms. That's a mind that functions right. That's what it would do. So if your mind is not doing that, something is wrong. If stupid is not the word you want to take, go see a doctor and figure out which one you'll accept.
We've said this. We've said this already. As long as you keep looking to these religions, and you don't completely decolonize yourself from these things, unfortunately, you're not going to see the full picture. You're just going to be skewed in your vision, unfortunately. So yeah, moving on.
To add to that quickly, yeah. Before long, they'll find themselves in 2056 or 2060 still doing the same old things. They wouldn't have moved.
Yes, but that's how we're here, bro. Don't forget that's how we are here. Yeah. Because we're doing what our parents did.
Yeah. But that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So,
but my brothers, think about the white person who prayed today, I'm going to war, help me win that war, and they're coming to attack Congo, right? Yeah. And the Congolese person who prayed to the same God, save me from these attackers who are coming. Which of the two will that God answer?
That's a good one.
that's brilliant. I love that. I love that, man.
That is a good one. Oh my goodness.
Okay, next one.
Next one.
Yes, but what do we do when you try to build? You find panels to build, and these demonic vampires come in, violate international laws to violate your sovereignty. Why are U.S. warships parked in Jamaican harbors?
We eliminate the vampires. How we do that is what we need to sit down and talk about. We need to stop being ashamed of saying that vampires must be eliminated because they're sucking our blood dry. That should never be something we are secretive about or apologetic about. Like you're literally, your blood is being sucked dry and you're worried about saying this thing. When a mosquito, thank you very much to my creatress, and my ancestors for giving me this analogy. Some Africans, and these are the Africans who are not grounded in Africanness, or those who may be. When you see a bee, what is your first reaction? Because you know the bee might sting you. What is your first reaction? My brothers, entertain me. What is your first reaction when you see people see a bee or a cockroach or a big bag? What is their first reaction?
They run. They want to swat it. They want to kill it.
Or get the biggest thing to smash it.
They want to kill it. Yeah.
Because you understand it's going to do something to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then why does that logic not logicize when it comes to the bigger problem
logicize
of the vampires? Why don't we get the SWAT and swat the vampire, which is a bigger threat than the mosquito? Well, maybe not when you think about malaria. But the bee, why do we not do that? Why then do we deceive ourselves intellectually and say, oh, we can't do that?
I think we need a serious brain alignment. We need a brain alignment, guys, because sometimes we're so in this mindset that we don't see the enemy for what it is, and we're still excusing it. That's one of the biggest challenges facing the mindset as Black people.
Yes, but if we look at the question and you look at the bigger picture of the question, and you look at whether it's I don't know if the person is a he or she, what they may be,
She's Melissa.
yeah, or Melissa, yeah. So we don't know what she may be thinking, where she is. What does she do when maybe she's the only one who has, or she's the only one who's thinking this way amongst the many within their community? I think that's
there's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can do, and that's
exactly.
There's nothing she
So,
can do, and that's the unfortunate truth of that. So what she can do is connect with people like that. Think beyond the borders, which is what Nkrumah was pushing for Africa to do. We cannot have borders because borders limit us. Because as you just gave in that example with Melissa, if she thinks within her borders, Jamaica, she's going to be limited because there are no people, and make it even the local borders, whatever town she comes from. If she thinks just within that town, the wall that prevents her from moving forward will come very quickly if there are not many people who are aligned with her. So she has to think beyond that and see a global Black people seeking liberation. For us, the only solution is going to be coming together and strategizing. We can't just keep getting killed. We can't keep being reactionary, or let's get up and protest because someone was killed. No, we actually seriously have to come together behind closed doors and start saying, okay, in Jamaica, this ship came. What can we do? These are the laws that are apparently we're being governed with right now. How do we defend ourselves when we violate them? Because we must violate them. How do we build laws that are ours? How do we implement them? How do we give the middle finger to this system that is no longer ours, right? We have to start the brains. And you started by asking before, are we short of talent or are we short of self-belief? There's no way, 100% we are not short of talent. We are actually bleeding over with talent.
Yes.
Now the belief that we can and must liberate ourselves, it is not going to be given, is what we need to stand by and be unapologetic about saying that's a vampire. And the last time I checked, when the vampire comes out at night, it's killing my whole family. So guess what? I'm burning that vampire. I'm sticking a stake in their heart. That vampire is no more tomorrow.
So what do you have to say about Kenya and what Ruto did recently with the Ebola issue? Because it's similar.
What I have to say about Kenya,
this basically it cannot be said here. Sorry.
I have to say about Ruto cannot be said in a public space.
It can't be said.
Everything I said could give you what I have to say about that.
Okay.
Not saying it should tell you exactly what we meant to say, my brother.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. Our greater issue in Africa is execution, not education. If we took an Afrocentric approach to things academically, it doesn't get away from the fact that Africans within themselves can be selfish.
How do you know how to execute if you're not educated on how to execute? How do you know when to execute if you're not educated on when to execute? No, we literally, like, how do you know if you're not educated? And education comes in different ways. Education comes with me sitting with my grandma and having a conversation, and my grandma says to me, this is how we take care of seeds, and that I am educated. Conversations with wiser people, conversations with people who know is education as well. So how do you know how to do a thing without education, unless you were born with that knowledge? Then how do you devalue education? The thing with us, two things can be true. We need to educate and execute.
Because what kind of education are you executing in the first place? If you've been miseducated, have you been miseducated? How do you execute the miseducation?
And that's why, Oladele, we have Black people in Ghana executing capitalism and exploitation, because that's what they've been miseducated to think is wealth. And so they're building apartments that Black people cannot live with, definitely not Ghanaians, because this is what they've been told is execution. You see? So if they were educated that you cannot do this, they wouldn't execute that way. They'd execute in a more communal way, a more grounded way that is going to not create an unequal society. My brother.
I'm sorry, Babajide, but I'm just going to say, sorry, before you go, Babajide, I'm just going to say, I said the fact that Africans within themselves can be selfish. Selfishness basically comes from exactly what we're saying. The fact that you don't know, but you think you know.
Yeah. You don't know, you think you know. And the fact that, like Nduku has said, yes, you first need to be educated. And once you're educated, the execution happens automatically. because you know what to do and what not to do. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yes, but also, Babajide, look at this. If we took an Afrocentric approach to things academically, it doesn't get away from the fact that Africans within themselves can be selfish. That sentence lets me know, my brother Bwana Haguziki, that you don't understand what an Afrocentric approach is.
Yeah,
because an Afrocentric approach will address selfishness.
It will automatically get rid of that.
It will address selfishness, and it will address the consequences for being selfish.
Yes.
It basically contradicts itself, unfortunately, because if you're Afrocentric, then you won't be selfish.
Yes, because you're practicing the Ubuntu the Ubuntu system, and the Ubuntu system is not a selfish system.
Okay, he said, I wish you guys had a live link so that I can explain the issue. Yeah, send a message because they're closing now.
Yeah.
What issue are they referring to?
What we just talked about now.
And this, the Bwana Haguziki was also mentioning, which I guess is attached to this, the people who betray within, like looking at the problem inside us before we attack the white man. And he's right. But then we can do two things at the same time. We can attack the white man and look at the problem within.
Of course we can.
Masters, right? We need to be master. We do this on a regular basis. An African mother will have a child on the back while she's cooking and while she's reading a book to another child.
Yeah.
Like these are the things we do. I'll be braiding my daughter's hair while I am teaching and helping another one with homework. We can multitask. So I don't know why it becomes, again, complicated when it comes to the bigger things. So again, as far as dealing with those people who are problems in our community, we will have terms of agreement. There will be certain ways that we must carry ourselves under Ubuntu. And if you strain from those ways, there will be consequences. What those are, we need to come together as a community and agree on. But definitely, you will not be selfish. Like you will not misalign yourself with Ubuntu and just chill there like everything is okay. No, you will be called to session. You'll be called to Mbongi and you will be addressed. And maybe your repair will be that you have to go to so-and-so's farm. She's an elder. She's not able to till her land. You're going to be tilling it with no return for a month.
Okay, guys, I think that's about it for today. Just to put it out there, guys, can you please follow our channels, please? I've got it on the screen there. The Data Economist with Babajide Ojejinmi's channel, Kumbukeni for Nduku, and the Emerging Kebelan for Oladele Dosunmu. Please follow our channels. Please subscribe. If you find this information insightful and useful, please share, because we need to get it through the algorithms. So please help us share the message.
Quickly, if you don't mind, quickly, because again, we're here to educate. Power is naturally exclusive. When you have power, you must work to incorporate. Exclusion will come naturally as we find our own power. Power is not necessarily exclusive. It's only exclusive to the Yurugu, because Yurugu does not share power. Power in an African sense is not exclusive.
It's communal.
Yes.
As long as you're not disrupting my community, we're good. Power is being able to defend yourself. Power is being able to produce your own food. Like, think about power in an African sense. And I know this is going to be an exercise for us. My brother, that statement says you're looking at power from a Western mindset. You don't know that you are, but that is what that is.
Yeah.
That's where power is exclusive. But when we are operating in this world where we are faced by Western enemies and foreign enemies, absolutely. African power means Africa being exclusive in that way, not to subjugate, not to exploit, but to defend.
Thank you very much. Power is not exclusive. It's basically in African communities. Power is communal. We sit together, we talk about issues together, we solve problems together, we come to solutions together. It's the Yurugu that is so selfish and so self-centered that they basically take everything to want to dominate. And as long as you look at things from an Eurocentric understanding, that's what you see. But when you go back to your ancestral wisdom and ancestral thinking, you see things completely differently. And this is basically why decoloniality is so important. African education is so important, because as long as we keep looking at solutions from an Eurocentric viewpoint, it distorts what we see. And now we prefer solutions. And this is basically why so many people are struggling to understand what we're saying, because everything you're thinking and saying is based on the miseducation that you got from the Eurogroup. There's nothing African, there's no Afrocentricity about your solutions. And this is why Africans are not finding the solutions that we need for Africa. And this is like Babajide said, this is what Ibrahim Traore is doing. Ibrahim Traore is Pan-African in his thinking. He understands, he studied, he's looked at the ones before him, the Sankaras and Nkrumahs, he's looked at the weaknesses and the flaws and weaknesses. He's learned lessons. That man just didn't get there for the sake of getting there. He was chosen to be there. He was prepared to be there. It looks like he came in through a coup, but there's some work that's gone into that guy being where he is today. And this is what a lot of African nations are not doing. This is a challenge that faces all African countries. Every African country needs a Thomas Sankara or a Ibrahim Traore in their country. When you have those kind of people, guys, we will not have the struggles we're having today. And a lot of our brains will be switched on so quickly, because leadership helps when you have the right one.
Oladele, quickly, and I know I keep coming to make the last point because it reminded me. No, this is evident in our proverbs. The fact that African culture talks about this is a stronger position, this is powerful more than this, is that you guys have the proverb that talks about the broom, right? The broom with the many sticks is strong, is harder to break than the one stick, right? There's that in all African languages. And this is, I'm going to say this quickly. The evidence of who we are, if you're trying to track back to who we are without noise, is in our languages. So you, as a Mwana Ubuntu who understands you're African, even if you've been detached, whether through enslavement, as a descendant of enslaved Africans, learn an African language, because the answers are within that. And we as Africans understand that there have been some infections in our languages, and we know what they are because we know our languages innately, and we know when it sounds off.
It sounds different.
We remove them. But our languages show what we did, what we believed in, who we believed in, how we stood, how we practiced. And there are many proverbs across Africa, north, east, west, that speak to the fact that unity is power and individualism is weakness.
Which is, to add to that, please, which is why I always say that an African person would struggle, a true African person would struggle to be a Christian or a Muslim or anything else, because your existence alone is spiritual, cultural, and everything. That's my realization. And how did I come to that realization? And I think I've shared this with you guys before. I was listening to a Jewish person on a very popular radio station in London here, explaining, because there's this thing going on about Zionists and anti-Semitism, etc., etc. So this person calls in and says, "Oh, this is who a Jew is." He explained who a Jew is, and in that moment, I realized that an African can't be anything else. If you say you're a Christian or a Muslim, you're lying to yourself. And do you know what I now use as an example of that deception or lie to yourself is, there's this big festival that is done in Nigeria. I'm sure you know about it, called Ojude Oba. Yeah, Ojude Oba is this festival where the Oba of that town celebrates the culture
on the horses and everything.
With the white hats and the different color hats.
But
very colorful.
But guess what? He celebrates that culture during the Muslim festival to bring people together. Why did he need to do that? Because he wanted to show that the culture and, well, the traditional culture and the Muslim culture were still able to coexist. I mean, can you just see that? It speaks for itself. So bottom line is,
those traditional leaders,
right? When that culture tells you the language to speak so that you can be close to God is Arabic, and you understand the importance of your languages.
It's crazy.
Something for another day. But I look at our cultural leaders, and they actually get up my nose, because how can they be cultural? Basically, you're supposed to protect the culture of your land, and then you're a Christian and Muslim.
Yeah, I can't understand it either.
It doesn't make sense. How can you be a king and be Christian or Muslim.
But that's
How
what
could
I'm
you?
saying. But that's what I'm saying about the Ojude Oba.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Forcefully do the festival in order to make it seem like, okay, well, we're coexisting. Meanwhile, we're not even. It's not our culture. As in, Islam is not meant to be part of the culture.
No, it's not. It's not part of us.
He's appeasing both sides.
Anyway, guys, let's go, guys. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll be here, I think, in about 2 weeks' time. We've got another one coming up. So please, like I said, subscribe to our channels, Kumbukeni, The Data Economist, and The Emerging Archipelago. We're on all platforms. Please subscribe, please share, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
I'll be putting out some shots, so